You're listening to The Cube, a new podcast series on Rappler about growing your career. Today, the topic is rookie mistakes at work, particularly for people just starting out in their career.
Reminds me of so many mistakes I've done in my first ever company.
Go ahead, tell me.
Okay, I'll blurt it out. My first week, I was asked by my boss to print around 50,000 flyers. This was for a telecommunications company. I felt it was the most unintelligent job to give to me on my first week. I was very snobbish, I was very arrogant, and so I kept laughing at it, didn't take it seriously until I realized I printed the flyers in inches instead of centimeters.
No.
So come the next day, my boss calls me up saying, Jonathan, you've wasted 2 million pesos of the company.
2 million pesos?
2 million, 2 point something. It was really big. I thought I was gonna get fired in my first job. Luckily, the size was still passable. I mean, there was a big difference, but they continued with it. Learned my first ever job about taking details seriously, especially in marketing, and you're never too important for any small task.
Okay.
Ako naman. How about you, Wyatt? I mean, I'm not gonna be the only one sharing my story.
No,
what was
you're
your
not.
first boo-boo?
Oh man, my
In your
first
first job?
boo-boo, I wasn't even hired. So,
Okay.
yeah, it was a job interview, and wonderful company. I still know many people who work for this company today, but the very astute interviewer gave me a hypothetical situation and asked me to ask intelligent questions, then make an offer for a business.
Okay.
And it was terrible. I took out my pen. I started doing calculations. I didn't have to do them. I don't know why. I just did them.
You were the Bibo kid who wanted to follow the rules.
I wanted to follow all the rules, and
I guess the interviewer was laughing at you.
no, she was great, but I apparently I was asking all types of questions like what color should the brand logo be, and the thing that I didn't ask was, what are your profit margins? Which
or who's your
should have
target
been,
market?
Yeah, I mean the margins though should have been number one, right? But you know what? I have never forgotten to ask.
And we
that.
never forget our first, right?
No, and I've never forgotten to ask about the bottom line, no matter what my job. And I think that moment prepared me for
your
every
next steps.
single, tough moment later on in my life. Because I gotta tell you, I was really affected. I sat outside in the curb and just kind of lost. Maybe.
A bit.
Yeah, a bit.
Okay.
But yeah, so things like that. Oh man, what a rookie mistake! Not really understanding the nuances of what I was getting into. I think was the point, and just learning. I think how to manage these types of questions which are designed to throw you off, or designed to kind of, oh man, I don't know what's going on here.
And remember, guys, we're not blaming any rookie mistakes here. We're surfacing them so that you guys become more aware and probably even avoid them because we have already made those mistakes ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no judgment here in this space in the cube. It's all about
sharing stories and
let's try to avoid them in the future.
Okay.
Let's spot these errors before they even come your way, right? One other thing that I always see very often in the workplace is a lot of new grads who are newly working like to say, oh, that's not my job, when you try to ask them to field some tasks. And I find that to be a little bit difficult to deal with because today, job roles are very multifaceted and they can cover a lot of things that might not necessarily have been on the contract. But I think if you're newly starting, you owe it to yourself to try.
I think I'm going to sympathize with some fresh grads. A lot of them think that, coming from a university standpoint, that everything was all about the textbooks. They go to the corporate world thinking that if this is what's written on my job description, then I should be working based on those limits, right? But remember, guys, the corporate world isn't just about hard structure. In certain companies, you're going to be working loosely. And sometimes it's not about limiting what you can do, but asking people, can you also do this? Can you also touch this part? And asking permission is good. At the same time, taking the initiative. Bosses appreciate if you do beyond what you're supposed to do because that means you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the company.
Key thing though, if you're gonna go beyond what you're supposed to do, you better make sure that the thing that you were supposed to do in the first place,
You also do
already
it.
done.
Yes, the basics are covered.
Yeah.
Right? Otherwise, you're pumapapel with other things that you're not supposed to be doing.
Right, right. And I gotta say, I do understand where fresh grads are coming from. It can feel really overwhelming. So I think the "that's not my job" is actually a knee-jerk reaction to being overwhelmed with
Too much
probably
workload.
the workload, or perhaps just adjusting to a new workplace.
Or I'm not going to be measured by that, so I shouldn't be doing it. I'm going to be doing only where I'm going to
Right.
be judged by my boss.
Okay, so I think the way to handle that is to just go right into it and just be careful how you come off, I would say. Because if you say, hey, that's not my job, that really sounds like you're washing your hands of a certain task. But if you ask, okay, I have these 3 other things on my plate. Should I just focus on that, or do you want me to switch it out for this?
I would
task?
think along the same lines. I would say every task is important, but which of these things are really, really priorities of the company? So I'd be more biased in understanding which drives the bottom line better. Is this or that? And then I promptly tell the person, I really want to help you right now, or I really want to do this as well. But as of the moment, this is the priority, and I want to focus my energies on this.
So what do you think are some other rookie mistakes that you kind of... I've seen a lot of people talk about rookie mistakes when it's on their first day at work. And it's a little hard. It feels awkward.
It's like you're the new kid on the block, the new student in class. My first issue when I came into a company, or not even my first job, but every time I move to a new company, I don't know the people. So I don't know how to mingle. I don't know how to crack jokes. I always have a hard time finding ways to socialize with them. So I guess the question is, what are those opportunities that you can enter? And one rookie mistake I always think is that most fresh grads avoid those opportunities to mingle.
Sample.
If someone asks you to dance in the Christmas party, I'm sorry guys, but I would dance. Even if I'm not a good dancer, I think it's the only opportunity that you have to show who you are, and it's a good joke. I'd rather be known for something I've done awkwardly than something that I've done because I did a bad mistake.
Okay, compromise, because I'm a dissenting opinion, right, John?
Yeah.
I am on the shyer side.
Okay.
I think I would be mortified and kind of just like dying of stage fright if somebody asked me to dance at a Christmas party, even though I have done that in the past. So I would say maybe a good compromise is to do something that you are a little bit comfortable with.
Something you're good at.
Right. Or, something just a little bit out
Yeah.
of your comfort zone versus something that's wildly on the opposite
True.
side. So
Then I would go for...
yeah.
One advice I would give is if the HR department asks out for volunteers to help out in the next sports fest,
Right.
or the next charity event,
Right.
And
I
would volunteer on those. I would meet a lot of people.
If you're good at planning, go plan.
Yep.
If you're good at, if you're a connector and you have a lot of contacts, offer your contacts. Be of use, be of value, and then maybe you can save yourself from the embarrassing Christmas party dance-off.
And I think this is aligned with your first issue about people not joining, for the first time. I think people would usually skip this because they don't think it's part of their job.
Yeah.
All right? But it is part of your job to mingle and build relationships so that when you need something from them or they need something from you, the workflow is easier, smoother.
Key rookie mistake I see, when I get emails about inquiring about openings for a job, I still get this blank emails with resumes in the attachment. Right.
As if, hi, please read, thank you.
Yeah. That's terrible. Would you even look at an email like that?
I would see it as a reference on the person's character, a lack of courtesy of having to write the reason why you're emailing, plus a lack of formality, which for me, it's important, especially if you're applying in those big top companies or even a startup.
Right.
Try to show some sort of personality, right?
I think it wouldn't have to be formal necessarily, but I think you would need to show that you know something about the company.
Yeah. Why are you joining it? Show that you want the job, not just because you need to pay the bills. Or
okay, what about like some key tips to get your foot in the door. I think everybody is going to go through HR. Everybody is going to go through, whatever, like third-party job application. I think you need to, if you really want that job, instead of sending 1,000 resumes to 1,000 companies, you are better off focusing your efforts on trying to get into a few companies.
Yep, and choose which companies these are, right? Companies that highlight your strength, the companies that you love, the industries that you think you're going to be thriving at. At the end of the day, it's quality, not just the volume of the applications that you make. And remember, sending all those emails or sending those LinkedIn messages, it's going to be tiring.
Yeah, and you're only going to get into one job. You're not going to be doing 10 jobs. So focus your efforts on where you really want to go, and then try to find a way in. Does somebody know somebody who knows someone? Can you get their contact, or go to an event where they probably will be, or somebody working there would be? Share your knowledge. There might be something interesting about you that captures their attention.
Yep. And I think just to add, I think the reason why you need to know if you want to work for this company and shortlist them is because during your interview, you don't want to sound that you're applying for the job because you want to get a job that pays the bills. You have chosen this job because this company is something that you believe in. You're the same ideals. You think it will shape your skills. Never sound that you're desperate to be hired. There's a reason why you want to get hired for this company.
More rookie mistakes. I think everybody tells white lies, I think, at work. I mean, real talk, right? I think that happens. But everybody can see when you're really on Facebook. I think when you're supposed to be working, I think bosses can tell. I think...
Are you talking about people who say they filed a sick leave, but apparently they're off swimming in Boracay?
Something like that. Or...
That's a major boo-boo, yeah.
Yeah, or when... Okay, well, depends on your workplace. In some workplaces, you're not encouraged to be on social media when you're supposed to be working. Other workplaces, that's fine. But I think when you're not working and you're really just on Facebook, I think your bosses can sort of tell.
Yep. I think the moral lesson here is if you're that kind of guy who's very outgoing and lots of activities outside work, you need to decide whether you want to befriend people on social media or not. So there are people who prefer not to friend them, especially your boss.
Yeah.
Even if you're not doing wrong things, you don't want to be judged by your boss based on what you do. And it's inevitable. You can easily get judged. Okay, you're wrinkling a bit, so I assume you have a different answer on that. I'd like to hear about it.
So I think that in today's world, you can't really separate work and life anymore. I think they are one cohesive,
The lines are very blurred. No?
The lines are totally blurred. I don't even think there is a line anymore. So I think it is just important for you and your boss to be on the same page and to follow.
So I guess it's a matter of determining what you want to post, and be careful about what you post.
Be very careful about what you post, and if there's something that he's asked you to do, just do it. Don't go on Facebook. They'll know.
Don't badmouth people on Facebook as well.
Right. Okay, more rookie mistakes? I think a couple more will do. I think rookie mistakes. I think it extends to even before you're hired. Just like my whole job interview fiasco. I think a key rookie mistake is being late.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, man.
Very much. I'd rather be super early, especially Metro Manila where traffic is very unpredictable.
I would rather be hours early than be 30 minutes late.
I would usually find a coffee shop near that office, compose myself, be there for 30 minutes or at least an hour or even 2 hours, and rehearse the lines of what I'm going to be saying. I'd rather do that than be hurriedly, dashing through the office, apologizing to the concierge or even to the interviewer and saying it was traffic. But in Metro Manila, traffic is no longer an excuse. Traffic is a given thing that you should prepare for.
Have you been late to a job interview?
Good thing, no. Not really. So,
I've actually been late.
Okay.
It was a horrible experience. I left my house 3 hours early, and yet the traffic
was really bad.
Made me late.
Oh no!
So the thing here is, right, that people don't take into consideration certain the non-verbal things about it. You may be just on time, but you'll arrive, sweaty and out of breath, and that just doesn't look good.
And the way you answer the questions, you feel like,
Yeah, and your brain is feeling a little scrambled. You're not focused because you were too worried about getting late. You need time.
It will show. The interviewer will see it.
You need time to calm down. You need time to answer those questions. And I think that is something that you should take into account when you're going to a job interview. And I think that's a very key rookie mistake. Again, I'd rather be hours and hours early than even just a little bit late.
Okay, I have one question. Again, let's go back to interviews. And I'm sure you've already interviewed folks who would report to you or be working in the company.
Right.
One thing I have a pet peeve, when you interview certain fresh grads and you ask them about the company, they don't even know what the company's products or services are. They don't know what's happening about the company. Has the company been on a scandal? Has the company been doing well? And it feels like they just came because they want a job. What do you think about these things?
No, absolutely. So you should come armed with questions. You should have read about the company. I have actually interviewed quite a number of people, not just, in my current job, in the past as well. If they don't know anything about the company, I will not consider them.
Because you should have done your homework,
yes,
right?
I have known other bosses who might still consider them, depending on the need and depending on the role that they're supposed to fill. But especially if it's a higher level position, I will not
Because it makes me question, then why are you applying for this job if you don't even know what the company is? So do your research. I mean, guys, the websites are all there. Social media is out there. You can easily Google a company as much as you can.
So, just building on that, the last question they usually ask, do you have any questions for me? Hey, the answer is always yes. Okay? Don't ever say no to that. Come armed with questions. But also don't memorize the questions. They should feel organic to you. They should say something about you. What do you like to do? What do you want to do for the company? Is there, maybe you can, don't ask about the salary or
not
the
yet.
perks right away in the first interview. But you want to ask about things like, is there a program within the company where I can get involved with this and this? Because this
what's the company culture?
Yeah, this is a passion of mine. Or what's a company stance on a certain issue you think that might be very important to you?
Why is my position being vacated? For me, it's very important.
I would say so. Yeah.
I want to know because is this a role that's being expanded? Did the person leave because she had a bad boss, or I don't know?
Yeah, or can you tell me about the career path of other people who have been in my position in the past?
What have they done? What have
Absolutely.
been?
So that wraps our rookie mistakes, but by no means are these all of it. There are a lot, but this is the Cube is a space where everyone can help each other. So send in all of your questions.
If you have rookie mistakes that you'd like to share, please comment on this podcast and let us know, or email us.
Absolutely. Follow Jonathan on his social media accounts.
And Rappler, where do we email?
desk@rappler.com, or follow us on social media. We'll see you next time.
See you guys
On a new edition of The Cube.